Why don't you start it as a sort of narrative? I think it's much better, rather than to look as if we were searching our minds, you and I.
It seems that the chapel, the Rothko Chapel, came into being naturally as the outcome really of 30 years of our immense interest in art and religion. We had liked Rothko paintings from the very first day we saw them. Actually, we bought some at that time. And the day a chapel had to be built, we felt Rothko was the man to ask.
Well, why did a chapel have to be built?
Well, a chapel had to be built because in those days we went through a great crisis in our life. A person who had been instrumental really in developing art in Houston and in awakening ourselves to art suddenly died, Germaine McKeague. And we felt lost, and we felt, what's the use of building an art center where we were at that time working at the University of St. Thomas? What's the use? We don't know what to do. We felt so helpless that we thought, it was better to do something crazy than to do something rational. When we were in that crisis, we immediately thought that Rothko would be the natural person to do it. We always had hoped that someday we would be able to ask a great artist to do something for a religious building. That goes way back to the time in France when, Matisse was doing his chapel and Le Corbusier was building Ronchamp. We feel now that what we should do is try to define a little more precisely the goal, the aim, the purpose of the chapel, what the chapel could perform. We feel it is an ideal place for meeting, but meeting of people who are not just going to debate and discuss theological problems, but who are going to meet because they want to find a contact with other people. They are searching for this brotherhood of humanity.
What's exciting is that it is not an idea which just grew in our mind. It happened, and we just watched, and we followed the lead. It first happened at the dedication of the chapel when important representatives of 5 religions came and prayed together. And then, without clergy, without any program, just by keeping the doors open, the chapel attracted its public. A steady trickle, a steady flow of people, mostly young people, who come and they sit and they meditate and they read. And we saw an indication there. And that's what started us on the road, talking, consulting, asking people what they thought should happen. So far we've been carrying the ball alone. The idea is to create a council of advisors in which there will be representatives of all religions, Jews, Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, Africans, with the Christians in the minority. And this is a basic change to what was happening before, when the whole world always was given to feel that the light came from the Occident, that the Western world knew better. So we feel that just by listening, we have found what the people expected. And we want to carry on along that line and to carry on with the help, with the advice, with the suggestions of the people who will be on that council of advisors. And we want to start organizing those meetings here in Houston, and they can later take place somewhere else. I think the people have to come to Houston to see this chapel because it's an extraordinary place. It's a deeply religious place, really. So they have to realize that and to understand why this is happening in Houston. It's happening in Houston because a great artist created a religious environment, and we just live by it. He's the one who gives the clue.
I think the Barnett Newman obelisk right outside the Rothko Chapel, somehow there existed dialogue between those two structures, because Barnett Newman also had something religious, or at least something deeply moving in mind when he planned that steel structure. And to him, the square pyramid was a sort of expression of the reality of life. Everything in life has to be anchored in this earth, has to be concrete. But then, from this very solid reality, the ideal can go, and a man can build and devote his life to an ideal. And this is the upward trend of the obelisk. And it goes up and up until death stops the activity of a man. And that's why
Actually,
the pyramid is broken.
What we are doing is just to follow the message of that obelisk. I think we are solidly grounded on the earth because what we're trying to do is what the people want to do. And at the same time, starting from that very realistic basis, there's a thrust upward, which is a desire of common spiritual life and of better knowledge of one another. And, that's the way peace might happen.